It is 8:15. Welcome back. The Chamber's annual mission to Washington, D.C. brought together 140 business and community leaders from San Diego and Baja California to discuss and advocate for regional issues. Here to explain some of the key issues from the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce is Director of Public Affairs, Stefanie Benvenuto, and Head of International Business Affairs, Paola. Avila, good morning to the both of you.
Good morning.
So this is exciting. This is the 12th year that we've been doing this. And Stefanie, I'll have you kind of give us an overview of what the goal was and what your mission was in advocating for San Diego's issues.
Absolutely. So San Diego is a little bit geographically disadvantaged when it comes to getting to speak to our leadership at both the state capitol and in D.C. So this is a really interesting trip where we have 140 regional representatives, both binational, bipartisan, elected officials from the state level, all the way from, Cali Baja, Imperial Beach, the city of San Diego, and it gives a really robust look at what matters to San Diego. And a lot of that community supporting that, talking about healthcare and the ways to lower costs for employers, talking about our infrastructure needs, and of course, always top of mind right now is homelessness and housing, and how we're going to address the acute shortage of housing in our region. So.
And these are very long days because there are so many issues to get to. And Paola, I want to talk specifically about the new NAFTA, the North American Trade Agreement, because that was signed while you were actually there. So how is this agreement going to either benefit or disadvantage our region here in San Diego?
Well, simply having an agreement with the trilateral bloc, that is North America, already sets us apart from others around the globe as global competitors. It gives us a competitive advantage and increases our collaboration, which is important not just for trade, but as we site and build our ports of entry, as we manage the trade through our ports of entry, immigration, environmental issues. It's important to have that, the strong foreign policy and relationships. But we still have a long way to go. This agreement still needs to get have the approval of Congress. So,
but San Diego is unique in the fact that we don't have the same priorities and needs as perhaps the middle of the country, and maybe the president has said for so long other parts of the country have been disadvantaged by NAFTA, whereas San Diego, Mexico is a huge, and Canada for that matter, is a huge partner in a lot of the trade that goes back and forth over the border. Was there anything specific about the agreement that you think is really going to impact us here in San Diego one way or the other?
I would say several points, actually, but one of the most important ones is the customs chapter. It provides efficiencies, which really impact San Diego. We bear the burden of moving trade through our region, trade that comes throughout the state and the nation, and that chapter is going to make the movement through the ports more efficient, lower cost, and more expedited. We also have this agreement, one of the highest standards for labor and the environment. And that's important because the Tijuana River Valley issue, this agreement can perhaps help with enforcement and that binational collaboration to address environmental issues such as those. And then the last thing that I'll mention in particular is the IP chapter, the intellectual property. San Diego being a tech hub of innovation, the patents protections, the trademark protections in this agreement are one of the strongest and will benefit that industry.
I know the Tijuana River Valley pollution is a huge issue we're facing, and really trying to get our national leaders on board with that. Stefanie, obviously speaking to some of the representatives out there and getting more attention to that, so hopefully there's some federal action taken there. What was some of the feedback on that issue?
Absolutely. So we did have a number of representatives that were there specifically to speak to that. We had a meeting with the EPA, and I know that was definitely a hot topic during some of Paola's international focused meetings. And we are still a little bit of a crossroads. We are making progress. Our voice is definitely getting heard. The message is coming across. It's unclear exactly what the resolution will be, I think is probably the safest way to say that.
And that's just continuing. It's like the saga that won't go away, unfortunately. And a lot of talk, of course, with the election coming up about our housing crisis, our housing shortage.
Yes.
What was some of the discussion there?
Absolutely. So San Diego has deployed a number of short-term solutions, and the Department of Housing and Urban Development is very much aware of those, but it is important that we're not just having our housing folks speaking to the department. We have to have businesses at the table who say that this is a major priority for them. Past the homelessness issue, housing for our workforce is one of the big issues for the employers in this region. Keep workforce. We're seeing that we're hemorrhaging employees to North Carolina, to Denver, to Texas. And how we can keep them here is to expand the ways that we build. And HUD is looking at that to their credit, and they wanted to hear our ideas, and it's always wonderful to have that opportunity to speak to that. Really, we have all these ways to communicate with our elected officials now, social media. I think most of them all have Snapchat. There's nothing stopping us from communicating, but that face-to-face message with an intersection of industry and elected officials is really the best way to make sure that we're effective in D.C. So we're glad to do that.
Well, so many issues we could talk about on and on, but we're glad that this has been 12 years ongoing of that face-to-face interaction and representing San Diego and some of the issues that we're trying to tackle here. So thank you both for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back with much more on Good Morning San Diego.